never thought I'd be the guy to get blindsided like this, especially not by my own wife. Julia and I had been together for about 6 years, married for 3, and I always believed we had a decent, if not perfect, relationship. Sure, she could be a bitch sometimes, especially when she was stressed or didn't get her way, but I thought that was normal. We had our ups and downs, but I never imagined she'd cheat on me, let alone with the guy who was supposed to be helping me get through my community service. You see, I got into some legal trouble about a year ago. Nothing major, just some DUI I regret more than anything. The court assigned me community service, supervised by this guy named Mark. Mark was a decent enough guy in his late 30s, probably divorced, and had that kind of slick, overly confident attitude that I noticed right away. I always felt like he was a little too interested in my personal life, but I never thought much of it. Things got complicated when I started noticing Julia acting weird. She'd be secretive about her phone, always had an excuse to leave early or stay out later, and her phone would buzz constantly at odd hours. At first, I thought maybe she was just stressed about her job, which she hated, some retail manager position that she acted like was her whole identity. But then the little things started adding up. She swapped her phone to Do Not Disturb mode more often, and her excuse about needing privacy started sounding hollow. I'd catch her in little lies and it made me suspicious, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I figured maybe she was just hiding something superficial, like an affair or just friends she didn't want me to know about. Still, I kept my guard up, watching her, waiting for something concrete. One night, I come home early from work because I wasn't feeling well. I had this nagging feeling, like I needed to catch her in the act or find something out. I walk into the house and hear noises coming from the bedroom. Not just the usual TV noise or her clicking around on her phone. No, it sounded like muffled voices, and I swear I heard her laughing in a way I'd never heard before. My stomach dropped. I froze, listening, trying to get a sense of what was happening, but it was muffled too far away. I didn't want to barge in without knowing what I was walking into, but my curiosity was killing me. Then I noticed her phone sitting on the kitchen counter, screen lit up with a text message from someone named Mark that said, "Can't wait to see you tonight, babe. Don't forget the details," winking face. My heart skipped a beat. Mark, the guy who was supposed to supervise my community service, was her fucking lover. I couldn't believe it. My wife sitting there lying to me about everything, cheating with this guy who was supposed to be helping me get my life back on track. That's when I knew. Everything I thought I knew about Julia was a lie. The signs were there, the signs I ignored, and now I was faced with the brutal truth. I'd been played. After I saw that message, my mind went blank for a second. My hands were trembling as I stared at her phone, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. I didn't want to jump to any conclusions right away, so I took a deep breath and tried to calm myself down, but the evidence was right there, clear as day. Julia had been lying to me, hiding this affair right under my nose, and I didn't even see it coming. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and furious all at once. I decided I needed to confront her immediately. I just couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I walked into the bedroom where I'd heard the noise earlier. The door was slightly open, and I saw her lying on the bed, scrolling through her phone, acting like nothing was wrong. Her face was calm, almost smug, like she knew she was about to get away with it. I didn't say a word at first. I just stood there watching her. She looked up, saw me standing there, and that fake bitchy smile she always wore when she was trying to manipulate someone. "What are you doing home early?" she asked, trying to sound casual, like I'd just caught her in a minor mistake instead of cheating on me. I handed her the phone with the message on the screen. Her eyes flicked to it and her smile immediately faded. She blinked a few times, then scoffed. "Oh, come on. That's nothing. You're blowing this way out of proportion, Jason. It's just a stupid message. Mark and I were just friends. You're overreacting." I felt my blood boil. "Friends, that's what you call it. Come on, Julia, I saw the message. The 'can't wait to see you tonight' part, that's not the language of friends. That's the language of two people who are fucking in love." My voice was rising and I couldn't keep the anger out of it. She rolled her eyes and sat up, crossing her arms. "You're just being paranoid. I was just talking to Mark about your community service, that's all. It's not like we're cheating or anything. You're making a big deal out of nothing." Her voice was sharp, dismissive, like she thought I was just some jealous idiot who didn't understand adult relationships. I stared at her, feeling a mix of hurt and rage. How could she lie to my face like that? How could she deny what I saw? She had no shame. That moment, that sickening realization hit me hard. She was cheating on me with Mark, the guy who was supposed to be helping me get my life back together. How the hell did I not see this coming? All those little signs, the secretive texts, her changed behavior. It was all there, hiding behind her bitchy attitude and lies. I didn't want to explode right then and there, but I knew I had to get out of that house and think. I told her I was done talking, that I needed some time. I grabbed my wallet, keys, and just walked out. I didn't want to scream or punch her. I just needed space to process the shock and betrayal. I remember feeling numb, like I'd been punched in the chest, and I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. I knew my life was about to change forever, and I didn't even know how to begin fixing it. Driving away from the house, I felt like I was in some kind of fog. My mind kept replaying what I saw, the look on her face, that smug, unbothered attitude, and the stupid message on her phone. I couldn't believe I had been so blind. Julia, my wife, the woman I loved and trusted, was screwing around with a guy who was supposed to be helping me get my crap together. It was like my entire world was falling apart in that moment. I knew I couldn't just sit around feeling sorry for myself, though. I had to think, plan, figure out what to do next. I went to my friend Dave's place, knowing he'd listen and probably give me some brutally honest advice. When I told him what I found, his jaw dropped. Damn, man, that's some serious betrayal. You gotta confront her again, but this time with everything out on the table. No more lies. I stayed quiet for a while, just trying to process everything. The anger was bubbling up inside me, but so was this deep sadness, like I'd lost the woman I thought I knew. Julia wasn't just cheating. She was lying right to my face about it, acting like it was no big deal. I never thought I'd be this guy, the one who gets cheated on, but here I was, feeling like a fool. I spent the next few hours trying to decide if I wanted to fight for the marriage or just cut my losses. Part of me still loved her. I mean, I really did. But another part was telling me I deserved better than this. I kept thinking about the countless times I'd seen her texting, her secretive phone habits, the way she'd lie so easily to cover her tracks. It was all so clear now. She'd been sneaking around for months, maybe longer. By the time night fell, I'd made up my mind. I was done pretending. I needed to see her again, face to face, and get some answers. I knew it wouldn't be pretty, but I couldn't keep living like this, not knowing the full extent of her lies. I headed back home, ready for whatever was coming, knowing that I'd have to be honest with myself, no matter how much it hurt. When I stepped inside, she was waiting in the living room, her arms crossed, eyes narrowing. She looked annoyed, like she already knew what I was going to say or do. I was furious, but I kept my voice steady. "We need to talk," I said, trying to keep myself under control. "Because I found out what you've been doing, Julia, and I don't think I can pretend any longer that everything's okay." Julia's eyes widened for a brief second, but then she quickly masked it with that same bitchy smirk she always wore when she thought she was in control. "What are you talking about, Jason? You're overreacting. You're just jealous because I'm tired of your stupid community service and all this legal crap. Mark and we're just friends, nothing more. You're making it into something it's not." I felt like laughing and crying at the same time. Her lies were so blatant, so rehearsed, I almost couldn't believe I'd ever trusted her. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my voice. "Don't give me that bullshit. I saw the message, the one where you're planning to meet him tonight. Can't wait to see you, Julia. That's not just friendship, that's cheating." I paused, feeling my hands trembling. "And I also saw the way you've been acting around him. Secretive, dismissive, like I'm just some idiot who doesn't see what's going on. I've had enough." Her face twisted, like she was trying to come up with some clever excuse but couldn't find one. Instead, she rolled her eyes and threw her hands up. "Fine, you caught me, but what do you want me to do? Be perfect all the time? Nobody's perfect, Jason. Maybe I did mess up, but I'm still here, still trying. You're acting like I'm some monster or something." I looked at her, feeling a mix of rage and heartbreak. She was lying so effortlessly, like I was the crazy one. "You think this is just a mistake, that you just slipped up? No, Julia. This isn't some drunken one-night stand. It's months of sneaking around, lying to my face, pretending everything's normal while you're fucking Mark behind my back. My voice cracked on that last word, and I knew I sounded broken. Her bitchy smile faded for a moment, and she looked genuinely annoyed now. You're overreacting. You're just jealous because I don't want to be some boring wife stuck at home all day. Maybe I needed some excitement. Maybe I wanted to feel like I was still alive. That was the moment I knew I'd hit rock bottom. Hearing her say that she wanted excitement while I was sitting here feeling like my life was falling apart. Yeah, that was the last straw. I saw red. You know what? I don't want to hear your excuses. I don't want to hear how it's my fault or that I should just accept this. Because I can't. I loved you, Julia. I thought we had something real. But now I see I was just some fool who got played. I told her I needed some space, that I was leaving for a while, and I grabbed my coat. I couldn't stay in that house another second longer. I was angry, hurt, sick to my stomach, and overwhelmed with a sense of betrayal I'd never experienced before. As I walked out that door, she shouted something after me, probably another lie, but I didn't care. I just kept walking, knowing I had to figure out what to do next. This wasn't just about her cheating, it was about me, finally seeing the truth I'd ignored for too long. The silence hit me as soon as I got outside. I stood there on the porch, breathing in the cold night air, feeling like the world was crashing down around me. I kept replaying everything I just heard, her denial, her excuses, her fake anger. It all felt like a sick joke, like I'd been living in some fucked up nightmare. I'd loved her, trusted her, and she'd been screwing around with Mark, the guy who was supposed to be helping me, for months. I still couldn't believe it. How did I not see it? How did I miss all the signs? The worst part was realizing how much I'd sacrificed, my time, my trust, my respect for her. And she treated me like I was some idiot who wasn't worth honesty. That realization hit me hard. I felt a deep, aching sadness, but also this gnawing anger that wouldn't go away. I was mad at her for destroying what little we had, but mostly I was mad at myself for not seeing it earlier. I went straight to my buddy Dave's house again. I needed someone to talk to, someone who wasn't going to sugarcoat it. When I told him everything, he looked at me with a serious expression. Man, you gotta think about what you want. Do you want to fix this, or are you done? Because honestly, if she's been lying to your face for months, what's left to save? I didn't have a good answer. The truth was, I loved Julia, I still did, but I also felt like I'd lost any shred of respect I had left for her. How could I come back from this? How could I trust her again? I knew I needed to make a decision soon, but right now, I just felt numb. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the good times, the bad times, and the betrayal. My mind kept circling back to that message, to her lies, to her smug attitude. I started wondering if I'd been blind the whole time, if I'd missed all the signs, or if I'd just refused to see them because I wanted to believe in her so badly. It's crazy how love can blind you, how someone you trust can turn into a stranger in the blink of an eye. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I couldn't stay in that house anymore, not until I figured out what my next move was. I packed a bag, didn't even bother waking her up, and left. I told myself I'd stay with my sister for a while, give myself space to breathe and think. The house felt cold and empty without her there, but I knew I needed that distance. I had to find out who I was again, away from all her lies and bullshit. Deep down, I knew this was the beginning of the end. I didn't know whether I'd fight to save our marriage or cut her out completely. I just knew that I couldn't keep going in circles anymore. I had to face what she did, face how much she hurt me, and figure out if there was any way back from this. One thing was for sure, I wasn't going to be a fool anymore. Days turned into a week, and I stayed with my sister, trying to piece my head together. The pain was still raw. Every time I thought about Julia, that surge of betrayal hit me all over again. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I was so blind to her lies. But truthfully, I knew deep down I'd been ignoring the warning bells for a long time. Love makes you stupid sometimes. It blinds you to the truth because you want everything to be perfect. Eventually, I reached a point where I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I realized I deserved more than her lies and cheating. I deserved honesty, something she clearly wasn't capable of giving me anymore. After some long talks with my sister and a lot of soul-searching, I made the decision to divorce her. I knew that was the only way I could truly move on and start rebuilding my life from scratch. I didn't want to be with someone who didn't respect me enough to tell the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it was. The divorce process wasn't easy. Julia fought me on it, tried to make it sound like I was overreacting, but I saw right through her. I knew her game. She thought she could manipulate her way out of it just like she'd been doing with everything else in her life. But I was done. I wanted out of that mess, out of that betrayal. I went through the legal steps, and honestly, it was a huge relief when it was finally finalized. Looking back now, I realize I learned some tough lessons. Trust is fragile, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to fix. But I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I survived the betrayal, the heartbreak, and the anger. I'm still healing, but I know I'll come out of this better, more cautious maybe, but also more aware of what I deserve in a relationship. To anyone reading this who's been cheated on or betrayed by someone they loved, don't let it define you. It hurts, and it's okay to feel like you're falling apart for a while. But in the end, you have to decide what's worth holding onto and what's better to let go. Honesty, respect, and loyalty aren't just words, they're the foundation of any real relationship. If those are missing, all that's left is pain and regret. I don't regret loving Julia even now, but I do regret ignoring the signs and letting her take me for granted. What I do know is that I'm finally ready to move forward, to find someone who actually values me, and to rebuild my life on honesty and respect. The pain will fade, and someday I'll find happiness again. Maybe not with her, but with someone who truly deserves my trust. That's what I've learned from all this. Sometimes, you have to lose everything to realize what truly matters.